Hello, gentlemen. How are we doing? Everybody
Good
doing
day,
all right?
Kendrick Clinton.
Hey, Andrew. How are you, my friend?
Good, good. We had a busy week, but that's, I think, normal now in our household.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, man. So it sounds like you guys had a very busy and productive week by the sounds of it.
Yes.
So, I mean, at least so far. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for us to be back on here again this week. As we continue to talk about how we can continue to sharpen the image that we have of ourselves and how we see ourselves, because we know that it is crucial for us to have a proper way of seeing ourselves. Why is that? Because it affects each and every area of our lives. It will affect how you treat your missus. It will affect how you treat your business, how you relate to God, how everything with your children. This self-image thing is it affects each and every area of our lives. So we still on it, and
Yes.
because it's one of those things that is foundational. And anybody still remember maybe what we spoke on last time, that maybe anything specific that stood out to you? Maybe anybody want to do a bit of a recap, or you guys remember what we spoke about last time? No.
We got Andrew there.
Remember we did mention about comparison.
Yes.
Because that's just one of the things that that can kind of like damage our self-image, isn't it? And we spoke about overcoming our overcoming self-limiting beliefs. There's also something that we touch on. I mean, this is a conversation that we can take it in any kind of direction, isn't it? Why is it? Because there are certain things that will affect my self-image that might not affect your self-image. But what we want to do this evening, we want to talk about, we want to continue on the same subject, but touch on how does it. Okay, let me just put it this way: when we do the right thing, especially when it's hard, and put it in another way, when you and I have integrity, when we have character, it does something to our self-image. So I want us to talk a little bit and just have a conversation about that, and just see how far we can take the discussion. But I believe that when we talk about doing the right thing, especially when it's hard, especially when nobody is around to see, you have the opportunity to get away with doing the wrong thing. But because you're doing the right thing, it boosts your self-image. You can like kind of like tap yourself on the back and say, "Yeah, Kendrick, you did it," even though you could have even though you could have escaped with doing the wrong thing. And that kind of like it helps with our self-image. So what are your thoughts, you guys? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we mentioned last week as well the famous quote from C.S. Lewis about doing the right thing, not just doing the right thing, but doing the right thing when nobody's looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, that's right.
Personal beliefs and how you set yourself the challenge to do the right thing in the circumstances you find yourself in, because many times you don't have much time to think. You just have to act, and if it's in your nature to do the right thing, it's much easier. But you have to build that integrity over time as part of your character, so that you don't challenge yourself and it becomes a struggle for you. And I think it's something each person has to get to. I can't rely on somebody else's integrity.
Mm.
Knowing that I'm in control and I've got a situation to deal with. What do? I have to do what my beliefs, what my understanding of my thought processes at the time and my integrity. So yes, we all get challenged and we have to make split-second decisions how we deal with it. And I think our brains are so wonderful, our minds, we can actually activate certain thought processes quite quickly. And it's easier if it's part of our character, if it's part of our belief system, if it's part of what we pull into leadership is integrity, because it's much harder then to try and put up a front or try and cover up what you're trying people not to know, rather than being yourself, being true to yourself, and just be spontaneous as well. And then I guess things will get easier if you're spontaneous and you stick to your values, but it comes naturally. And that, I guess, doesn't happen overnight. If people want to change and improve on that, I think it's a process. And we can all look at ourselves and measure our own integrity against where we benchmark ourselves in that steps that we need to take to move forward. So it's an individual thing, I think.
Yeah,
not something somebody else can do for you or figure out for you. So it's a personal matter.
absolutely. I like what you mentioned there about sometimes we don't have much time to think about what's the right thing to do, and you're absolutely right, because it tends to happen when we're under pressure, isn't it? It tends to happen when what's already inside of you just comes out. So you can't. It's almost like, whoa, where did that come from? It's already been in there. It's like you can't fake it, because at the end of the day, there are certain decisions you and I will have to make way in advance before we are presented with making that decision, because it is a character issue when we tend to display a certain kind of a front, where and the perception that people have of us is, this is who Kendrick is, this is who Andrew, or this is who Clinton is. But then suddenly now pressure building up over some time, and suddenly now something comes out that nobody expects. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? It's just been in there. And I think the flip side of that is, because you also mentioned something about being your authentic self and being don't be afraid to live out who you are, because I think that is the best thing the best gift that you and I can give to ourselves as a human being, is not to try to imitate anybody else, not try to wear masks, not try to be something that we are not, but rather it's like, this is me. All right. I know that you might not like what you see, but this is just me. And I think the challenge with that is, if you try to live up to people's standard, or if you and I try to live to please other people, you and I will live a miserable life, because it's not about pleasing people. It's about transforming into the best version of ourselves, and that will require building our character, and not be afraid to show to people that, this is Kendrick. I know all of you all might not like this version of me, but this is the true version. All the other ones that you've been seeing is ones that I thought that was, that I wanted to show to the world. But yeah, it's we always have to live up to becoming who we really are. Yeah, that's I solemnly believe that. I solemnly believe that.
That's really interesting.
Mm,
You've got you've got a side of it that plays into having to do things in a split second. The side that plays into that is that you've also got to be open to understanding that you're still becoming you.
yeah, that's right.
So if you're open to that idea, it allows you to keep working on yourself without even realizing it, and to be comfortable with the fact that as much as you think you know you, certain situations can cause things that you didn't even know there to show up. And that's the interesting part, that it plays right into doing the right thing. Because at that point, you're going to be like, you're not sure whether this is you, this is, ooh, what is this? But at that point, so the it can do a lot based on your choices. In that split second, it can add value to you and others. It can detract. But I think as a human, you have the power to make choices. And I think the interesting part here is there's a word, a key word in this whole thing, and the word is right. Right by whose standards? And you have got to pick that up on your own and practically say, I'm going to do what I think is right. Because how do you define right? Right? Are you defining right via comparison with a friend, other people? Are you defining right based on pressure from work or from family? Or so you have really got to be open to the fact that you are continuous work in progress. You're becoming you. You've got to figure out what right means for you. Because the reason why I'm saying this is, and for me, obviously, I can't leave out the God factor in this, because I think with the help of the Holy Spirit, you're able to make decisions that take you forward. It sometimes might not be the best decision in the moment, and I don't want to use the word right there. I want to say best, because of the combination of things. But that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you failed. It's just an opportunity for you to do the next best thing, because the word right can actually be a game changer, a game stopper, a killer. So that's why I'm throwing that out there, so that if somebody's thinking, well, I've got to always be right, right could also make that person feel that they've got to be perfect. So I've got to come up with the perfect solution all the time, and that adds a level of pressure that could trigger a lot of other negatives. But once you open up the idea, like I said, in my view, the way I'm seeing it is open the idea that I'm still a work in progress as a person. And the work in progress is to get better and better. That means that you will stumble. You will make a few bad ones. But when you find you're making the few bad ones, it means that you're actually onto something correct. Because it means that you're heading in the right direction. It's purely just for you to, if you're learning to become anything, it could be a barber, it could be anything, you're going to do some wrong things. And as they come to light, it's up to you to decide, okay, do I sit down and moan about that and say I'm a horrible barber, or do I just get up and say, actually, maybe I'll buy a mannequin and let me see how best I can get this thing right, so I can be the best barber on the block. And the best barber doesn't necessarily I'm using this example to probably pull out to you that right or correct or best way forward does not have to fit a mold, because what somebody would see as the best barber, somebody else would see as not the best barber. But you have to be confident in yourself that you're making the best steps forward, becoming the best. And once you do that, you're able to help people to see you in that way. You see what I mean? So that's that goes into what we our first point in adding value. It also connects with our bit about the comparisons and stuff like that, and it goes into our third point, which we'll touch on at some of the later point. But I don't want to mention the word yet because it's a bit early. But the word connects to consistency, because if you keep doing it consistently, you get better and better and better. Sound. Andrew, can you hear? Oh, you're back.
I can't hear Kendrick.
Yeah. Can't hear you, Kendrick. Okay.
Yeah, I think hopefully coming back in will get your back up. Yeah, I think the consistency theme is a lifelong theme.
Yes.
And I guess as long as our hearts beat and we've got the energy to get up in the morning, we have to face every day with a way forward.
Yes.
Without stopping really and just continuing. Maybe where we left off the day before, or the plans we had made last week for this week to just continue, and so forth. It's never
by default, that is consistency. That is practicing consistency by default. Sorry, Kendrick. Andrew just introduced a really nice piece on consistency. He's saying, just by getting up. When you have life.
Awesome. Yeah. Basically, apologies. Technology, is sometimes got a mind of its own. One of the things that you've mentioned there, I like how you brought the, and just put a twist to talking about what is right, because right can be right according to whose standard, doing the right thing. But what majestic are you using? Are you using, or what majestic am I using to measure what the decision that I'm making, whether it's right? Because a lot of things is just a matter of perspective, isn't it? Somebody was saying, "Oh, I've done the right thing today," and somebody was like, "No, that's not right, but you did." And that's why we kind of like have to be clear on what it is that I think Andrew mentioned earlier about the decision that you and I have to make must be in line with our values.
Yes.
And that's why we have to be clear. What are my values? Because if I make decisions that is in line with my values, then whether it's kind of like a bad decision, or from your perspective, I don't. Well, I might sound a bit harsh, but I don't care. It's in line with my values, man. It's in line with my values. That's why I can live with myself. But my conscience is clear, because I know the decision that I've made is not based on what somebody else believes or on somebody else's values, but on my own. Values. And that ends up building my self confidence, my self image. Yeah.
What I wanted to throw in there was that you've got to be prepared whenever you make decisions in whatever direction. You will get pluses and minuses.
Absolutely.
You will get people, there's always going to be something to say. And let me just put it plainly this way. If somebody who calls themselves an atheist, who don't believe in anything, they just believe us. Actually, they do believe in something. They just don't want to commit to anything.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, right? And if they do something and they make a decision and they're going forward, they call that the right thing. A Muslim is not going to agree with them. A Christian is not going to agree with them. Yeah, they'll have a few. I wouldn't want to call it negatives, but a few minus points to deal with. Let me throw another one in. By the standards of a bank robber, he's doing his job.
Yeah, putting food on the table.
Yes. And he will argue with you potentially that, look, actually, we deal on a higher level, we deal on an executive level. And, we're running a business here, mate. And by his standards, that's right. From a Christian point of view, we will want to quote the Bible and all of that. So all I'm trying to show you is that you've got to be working to getting so comfortable with yourself. If you are a Christian, it is ideal for you to be led through the Holy Spirit and the Word of God, to be guided by that. Because being guided by that, the standards in there tend to keep you on the right track. And they tend to do something super significant, which is add some serious value. And the value I'm talking about is not material value, such as money and house and fancy car and all of that. I'm not talking specific. The value here I'm really talking about is the value where you can take yourself from nowhere and do something awesome. The value where by you saying and doing the right thing makes somebody believe in themselves again.
That's right.
It makes somebody believes that passing an exam that seemed so impossible because of the challenges that they have, combination of challenges, that they wouldn't do it, and they come out on top with honors. Yeah. So the list could go on and on from there. But what I'm trying to just point out here is that values is core, very important. Belief, very important. Sound stuff. You don't have to have all these eggs in the same basket to be working nicely. You've got to start somewhere. You will make mistakes. You probably wouldn't get it right majority of the times. But like Andrew just mentioned, which is so I think is the best example. See just the way that when you get up in the morning, being consistent at the fact that I have life, I can go, I'm going to get up. You don't think about it. You just get up and then try and say, right, let me see how I can make this day better than yesterday.
Yeah.
You automatically do it.
Yeah.
So I think if you apply that sort of approach, it will really help you no matter where you are. If you may be a bit depressed or wherever you are in the combination of life, you can go forward and you can begin to make the best decisions. One last point on that best decisions thing. It may look as though you actually haven't made the best or a good decision in the longest run. And you also got to get comfortable that people may tell you that. It's not, you're not done.
Yeah.
Actually, funny enough, you just actually need to spend some time. I want to use the word meditation here. From a Christian point of view, spend some time with God and hear what He has to tell you what to do. Sometimes we make decisions, ones where we have time, ones where we don't, without consultation with God, without consultation, just to double check quickly with ourselves. Here's an example. So you got a job, you're working. When you got this job, this was the best thing since sliced bread. 3 months later, a little while short from your review, somebody steps on your foot, says something, and Oh, let's get it serious. Somebody uses something derogatory racist. So it doesn't matter what race you are. This could happen to anybody. And in that split second, you speaking French and Russian.
I mixed it up, yeah.
And you yourself asking, where did this come from? And then you actually attach a behavior pattern to go with that. But you still expect a good output, a good return from that. It's not going to happen. Now, if in though what I'm trying to say to you, I'm trying to make the best decision, a good decision, the right decision, to do the right thing forward. You need to stop sometime in a moment, in the split second, and really do a very quick reflection. How is this going to affect me? How is this? Us guys that have kids, we tend to do this a lot naturally. Because sometimes certain decisions, certain things where we have to do and say certain things, we've got to think, how does this impact my family? You see what I mean? And sometimes we got to say no matter what, and let it go. So I'm just saying to you, you don't have to give an answer sometimes almost instantly in that second. You have time, even if it's a millisecond, to give some thought. If you're a Christian, I urge you, connect with the Holy Spirit. He will help you. And if you're not a Christian, I would say to you, the word is out there quite a lot. Spend some time in meditation. What you meditate on, I can't tell you. That's your decision. But spend some time where you can be calm, where you can get yourself ready for the day before you get the day going. It will help you to keep a focus no matter what.
That's it. Let's take a sip of. Let's take a drink after that one there. No, you're right, sir. Absolutely. And one of the things that we also wanted to highlight, which you guys already started to touch on, is when we are practicing small disciplines on a daily basis, because I think especially us as men, if you're working on something and you have this big plan, this is what I'm going to accomplish for 2022. 2021 was just a disaster. 2020, I don't even want to mention it. I was not even around. But when I'm looking at 2022, what I want to accomplish, and suddenly everything just seems like it's just too much. Everything is like we are just overwhelmed, and we feel like, all right, I've got to get my health on track. I got to get my family on track. I got to get a business on track. I got to get the career on track. I got to get my relationship. It's like suddenly you realize, like, no, man, let me just watch Netflix. I think my mind need to calm down. My mind need to calm down. But why is that? It's because I believe when we hit that wall, we tend to rather beat ourselves up and say, oh my goodness, I can't even, you mean you can't even go and run twice a week? What's wrong with you? And that kind of like damage our self-image. That kind of like putting us on a back step. Instead of us kind of like moving in the right direction. It's like, remember even a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about self-talk. What do we say to ourselves when things don't go well? But I believe if we practice a small victory or a small discipline every single day, I like to use the example, man, just make your bed. Just do. I mean, if like even what Clinton was saying a couple of weeks ago, if you can't do 100 push-ups, man, just do 5, man. And say, yeah, well done. That's a victory.
It is a start.
It's a victory because there's no need for us to. I mean, the world in itself is already talking down on us, and the critique that's coming through. Why do you even want to even give you yourself, talking down on yourself even more. Let's focusing on what's positive. Let's focus on what's working. What have I accomplished today? Even if I just managed to do one thing right for today, let me celebrate that. And I think that big plan that we have, it will suddenly don't look that intimidating. Why is that? Because now I'm breaking things down in small bits and pieces. And I know our engineer here, Mr. Jordan, can give us a great insight on that. How we can actually use different kind of systems, how we can use different kind of methods to make our lives to become productive without us being overwhelmed on that. Am I right, sir? I put you on the spot.
Yes, I think it's exactly what you say, starting with small steps.
Yeah.
In our business, the more we can break things down from complexity, the easier it is to formulate a strategy for completion for anything. So I think of the quote we famously know, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Yes, that was a giant leap to go to space, or at least go set foot on the moon. But for us in our daily lives, I spoke to my daughter the other day. She's 18, and I had the heating off in the morning, and I was sitting in the dining.
Did we lose him? Can you hear him, Clinton?
No, I think he's just frozen.
Yeah. Mr. Jordan, we lost you there, sir. We can't hear you. Maybe if you go out and come back in, sir. We lost you there.
I think if it doesn't connect, he'll probably drop off and then come back.
Yeah. But just to pick up on what he's saying, because if you really think about it, the reason why certain things are not working, I think he was kind of like trying to give us a breakdown on how we can use systems and how we can use different methods and strategies to make our lives more simple, because and not to be overwhelmed. And that brings us back to yes, you got this 5-year plan, but how am I going to break it down into yearly? For the next year, what are you looking to accomplish that will get you closer to that 5-year plan?
Something I've seen in various groups and stuff that I'm part of. And this guy from Dragon's Den, Stephen Bartlett, he's got a couple of groups. I'm part of one of those groups, and one of the things he's put out, which I smiled when I saw it, because it's the sort of thing is in the Bible too. You may have so many plans. At the end of the day, God's will prevail. However, let's use the pandemic as a great example. A lot of people probably would not have been able to achieve 2% of what they set out to do. And if we put a flip on that and we say, well, in general, people call it life. When things happen, life happened. And you know what? The best way I can say to do it is be happy and grateful for whatever step you make, however small it might be. The step may seem insignificant, but with each step, however small or big it is, it adds, it connects, it's relevant to the bigger picture.
That's right.
So although you might not have made 100-foot step if you're that tall, and one go, but you're able to just do 2 fingerprints of step in that moment. Get excited at the fact that you moved.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Jordan, sorry we lost you there, sir. If you don't mind just picking up where you left off, you're not going to get away with that one. We need that gold nugget. How's you? Can
apologies. My signal.
All right, there you are.
I was just going to share a short story on that. We were sitting working this afternoon, and the house was a bit cold. My daughter was in the room, and I was boiling because the sun was in the dining room where I was sitting. And she asked if she can put the heating on. And my idea of warming up was actually doing some chores. But okay, it's a small step, and she's not eager, so we got all the Hoover out and everything that we needed to clean, and we started together. And I knew she will warm up, and we both were surprised how hot it got after just doing a few of the rooms and cleaning up. But it was a small step that was needed, and I think someone had to initiate it. And we didn't see the same outcome when we started. We had different views. It was just easy to put the heating on when it wasn't necessarily the right thing to do at the time. But I think a small step does take us in the right direction. And we only see the outcome of something bigger if we can take that first initial small step. But often we take a small step knowing what the bigger outcome is, based on our experience, and either our past experience or what we can formulate from the outcome that we want from it. Otherwise, we won't do it. Sometimes on a Saturday, you might want to lie in. And it just takes a small step on a Monday to get up because you got a meeting at 8 o'clock. You don't have the same mindset on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So you decide not to take that step, but you got another step. You want another 15 minutes and your breakfast is coming later. So you have to strategize, I think, for the outcome, taking the small steps in consideration. And failure is part of learning. Like Clinton said, if we take the necessary steps to get a desired outcome, no matter how many steps those are, you will fail at some point, and it's due to one small step that you either did or did not do. But that's how you learn. Next time you can evaluate the process and what you do different. But what's interesting to me is, as human beings, we also but so sometimes we will know what the right steps are, and we choose not to do it, just out of convenience or out of what we generally programmed to do as individuals.
Yeah.
Until we get challenged or we see someone else do something a different way. And if we really challenge ourselves, we will change. If we don't, we will continue the same way.
Yeah.
But that's just an observation I've seen with with younger engineers, trying to train them up with some of the skills they might need for something more complex that I might have experience in. And with raising children, we see the same thing. I guess when our kids go to high school, senior school, we definitely see a change in them. And it's a change that goes beyond us telling them what to do or them asking us questions all the time. It's more them being left on their own and being challenged in the classroom and in high school. And they will bring those challenges home. And then we get challenged as parents. But for them to learn, make failings, and make progress, it was good to see them become independent as well as adults, as the next phase in their life. But for us as adults, even no matter what age we are, we're all on a journey, and we all have to take the necessary steps we need to. And to move forward, I think is important. As reevaluating ourselves in our own progress, and ensure that we move forward all the time. even if we don't move forward, time is something that moves continuously. So we're always against a race for time, which is related to the targets that we want to achieve in life. And it could be anything. We have time frames for everything. So for me, it's important to set small goals and set small steps to get to the bigger things that we want to achieve. It's really important, those small steps.
I wanted to add something in here and say there's a unique thing about all humans, very unique. And I think in every living thing, there probably is that, I don't know, but I'm human, so I can't say anything else. There is, and it doesn't matter how you want to acknowledge it, if you choose to or not. In every human, there is, you can call it instinct, you can call it, that will tell you if something you're about to do is right or wrong. And you will have the choice whether to listen to it or not. You can listen to many, many, many stories, and if they want to admit it, they will tell you. I felt that this is not the right thing to do, but somehow I was compelled to do it still. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's something that you want to work with. It can really help you. And that's where, like I mentioned, meditation and other bits, but I wanted to stick a pin in there and actually say that you have it by default as a human. Every human, you have it. Mm. Right? So you don't need to worry, well, where is this thing going to come from? You know, do I need to download a software or something and get a chip or something? No, you don't need that. You just purely need to listen to the inner voice. That's the best way I can put it. Mm. And it will help you.
Absolutely. You know, it's really remarkable how when you actually look at it, there's something that Andrew was saying earlier. You know, when it's not so much that we don't know what to do. Mm. And I think that's where we kind of like get stuck. It's like, oh man, I know exactly what I need to do. But the problem is, how come am I not doing it? Mm. Because I know whatever I'm after, it's not going to happen overnight. That's you know it already. I know it already. We know already it's a process. And we know already I know already I need to start here and then just continue and just kind of like, and things will just kind of like, just, you know, it will just keep on moving and just keep on going. But the issue is starting. The issue is getting things going. Mm. And I think it brings us back to, you know, when you are kind of like motivated, you are kind of like, oh yeah, man, let's do this. It's like, I can do this 365. I can do it 365 times for this year. Yeah. And I know, I don't care who tells me what, let's go, let's do this. And then suddenly you realize it's not the hype, it's not the motivation, it's not the encouragement, but it is the discipline.
Yes.
Because all of the other, everything apart from the discipline, everything else, like the hype and the motivation, all of that, it will kind of like, it might get us going, but the thing that will sustain us, the thing that will keep us, the thing that will eventually produce results is the fact that I do whatever I need to do in small but bite-sized pieces every single day. Yeah. In a disciplined manner. It that will produce results. Yeah. And there's the little demon right there, gentlemen. I don't know if you agree with I don't know if you agree with me, but I think it's easy. Dreaming does not cost to dream does not cost us anything, man. It's like close your eyes and just travel with your imagination, and suddenly you have some great ideas. But now to put that into place and for us to be able to see that come into fruition, that's the challenge.
Yes.
And obviously, as individuals, we are on different levels with our discipline, because what you find easy to do is like, bruh, how do you do that? It's like, but what goes for you is it's sometimes easy, but but maybe there's something that I'm struggling with. And I think we just need to kind of like be aware of that, that it's easy to start something when we are up right there. And even in an environment like this, when the guys pump you up nicely, say, yeah, come on, Kendrick, we can, let's go, let's take over the let's take over the world. So yeah, let's take over the world. All right, what's the plan? What do we need to get disciplined in? But it's those small disciplines. That is kind of like that we need to overcome, or kind of like take a hold of. I don't
You
know,
see,
what are your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
that example, what both of you said there is really awesome, because the exciting part of that is that if you listen carefully to what you said, when you begin to make that step, and when you begin to be consistent, and then somebody else come and ask you, how is it so easy for you to do? And you explain, what have you just done? Because of your decision to do the right thing, to make a step, and you actually did the step, you just added value to somebody.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Through your consistency.
That's right.
So just think now how exciting this gets. If you continue being consistent, you can be adding value to countless people without even realizing.
Without realizing.
So therefore, what I'm trying to say to you is that don't underestimate your actions, thinking it's just you in your corner fighting to win your own or reach your own goals. Every step you make, every decision you make, it has an impact on somebody else that you never even met potentially. Because somebody just needed you to do that, to give them the hope and everything that they needed just to do the same process that you just started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you break it down as clear as day and show them the real you, the authentic you, it helps them to realize that I don't need to be perfect to go on this journey.
Yeah.
I just got to start wherever I am as I am.
That's it.
And I'm not talking about the journey of life. I'm not saying becoming on the journey of some sort of converted person into something. I'm just talking about life, just doing life.
Yeah, because this applies to life in general. Sorry, Andrew, I just cut you off there. Go on, sir.
Yeah, I think what's important to understand is that God gave us all the same abilities.
Yes.
And because we're in God's image, we're created in God's image, there shouldn't be a shortcoming in our thinking to think that we can't achieve anything. There will be limitations based on opportunity, even sometimes luck. Luck even in the sense of who you encounter in your interview, who you encounter in your decision-making at a bank, asking for finance. All those kind of things are all earthly and worldly things that God is in control of. But for us as individuals, we have to know our value in our beliefs and in ourselves, and then only can we impart into others as well. And the best thing is to impart in others without us even knowing. That means you stop measuring the impact you have on other people, but you focus on yourself and what you can contribute. because you should be in a position not to want to measure the impacts you have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as I can see with technology and the way mostly Western thinking in the Western world is, that people are living longer, life can be improved much better, but for many it's the opposite.
Mm.
And why is that the challenge for a prosperous, a healthy, a long life? There's certain basic rules that I think we all need to recognize, that doesn't even need to be taught, which maybe our parents taught us, and we knew by the age of 7 or 8 or 9 exactly what they meant. I guess some adults haven't even heard that they are loved, or they are cherished, or that they have a God that looks out for them.
Mm.
So if you have self-worth and you know your value as a human being, it goes far beyond any other creature that was created. And in terms of our ability as humans, I think we're the only species that collectively can achieve greater things if we all stand together.
Mm.
But it needs for each person to recognize that, to come into that collective team to do that. A lot of things you can't achieve on your own. And that's how the world has been developed so complex.
Mm.
It's because humans have the ability to create complexity, but they can't do it on their own.
Mm.
Whereas animals will try and do it, but they can only get to a certain number before they fail. They can't coordinate that complexity. Whereas us as humans are the only living species, mammals, who can actually coordinate across the world now. We do trade between countries across the world on a daily basis. People, especially in the UK, we have produce in the shops that come from various countries, and I was surprised when I saw some of the apples that I used to eat when I was young at Tesco's. And when I go buy apples, I just buy the ones I know and that I'm familiar with as a child, but I'm having it right here at our local superstore. And I guess 100 years ago that wasn't possible. 200 years ago that didn't happen. But these systems are based on people coming together and bringing each other along and collectively impacting a wider agenda. And what we can do is create that agenda for impact with not just our families or our wider community circles, but even with technology beyond the limits that we can even measure at the moment. So that's exciting for me, just being part of that.
Absolutely. Wow. You really made a very powerful statement there, and that's kind of like something that I've really been thinking about over the past few months a lot. And as individuals, and that's why I believe talking about self-image is so important, because the way God has designed things to work is he set things up in such a way that you as an individual, you can only go so far. You as an individual, yes, he is given each and every one of us, he's given us special gifts and talents. He's given us a certain level of potential. But our real power lies in unity.
Yes.
Our real power lies in collective effort. It's when we come together. I can come on here, or each and every one of you guys can come on here, and you can kind of like just have like a conversation, for men. But when we come in this kind of a forum, and we have all of this different way of thinking, different perspectives, just flying out like this, it becomes something completely different.
Yes.
And I think it has to become so real to us that I have to see myself as part of a body, and that the reason why I have to work on my self-image, the reason why I have to be satisfied with who I am, and boldly, declare that though this is Kendrick, and I am who God has created me to be, and I don't fall short. I've already got everything that I need to fulfill my purpose. And if I have that kind of a thinking, I will have no problem to connect to and to collaborate with other people, because I know that I have something special to bring. Clinton has something special to bring. Andrew got something special to bring, and I won't come at it from a perspective of inferiority or falling short, because my shortfall will be compensated by your gifts. It will, and your fall, and wherever you are falling short, it will be compensated by my gifts and talents. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, sir. I think that's what it comes down to, is for us to realize, listen here, I have to continue to work on myself. Why do I need to continue to work on myself? Because there are different places that I'm supposed to connect, because there's a gap. Whatever I need to bring to the table within whichever community you decide to connect with. Don't go there as a sorry me. No, I got something to give you guys. Are you ready to receive? You go with that kind of an attitude, because you know that you're not cocky. You are not like some people might think, oh, you are arrogant. No, the thing is, we have to be at a place where we have that kind of thinking, because if we don't, we will fall short, and we will deprive other people from what we carry. All right, gentlemen, I think we are at the top of the hour here, and I'm really excited about these sessions.
Yes.
And we just need to continue to push on this one. And I believe when we do that, we will be continue to sharpen one another, and just be a blessing to whoever that listen to these sessions. So yeah, this is it for the evening. Clinton, you look like you got something to say, sir. You want to add something?
I was going to say,
You want to add something, sir?
I just want to leave a little nugget with you, and just remind you that, look, you've got enough of what it takes to get started. And if you can believe in yourself that you can get started, you can make the best decision and the right decision based on what you think, that's just enough to get going. Because guess what? That is going to help you to attract people to help to sharpen you as you go along. And as you do it, it will then add value to other people as you add value to yourself.
Well said. Well said. All right, gentlemen. We're calling it a night, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming on here and adding value to us, and sharpening one another. And we will see you next week. All right. Have a great week, and see you guys soon.
Yes.
Bye-bye now.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
to you guys.
Okay,
Thank
cheers.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.